Hello, Richard. I'm delighted to be chatting with a fellow author, creator of the Menticide novel. How's life for you in Essex, is it?
In Exeter.
Exeter, sorry.
Close. No, life is good, thank you. Yeah, I'm originally from Cardiff, which I still miss being there, but Exeter's a fantastic city, and I wanted to be near a family, and I'm living near the southwest coast, which is fantastic. I'm near Dartmoor, and it's an absolutely beautiful part of the world. So very happy with where I am at the moment.
Okay. Big change of life, though. Was this as an adult you
Yeah.
moved to Exeter?
Yeah, as an adult, yeah,
Yeah,
I finished my degree and I was changing jobs, and it just seemed like a good move at the time. It was near a family,
yeah.
and so yeah, all the sort of things fell into place, and it just seemed like the right move at the right time.
Okay, okay. Well, before we start talking about your writing, which will be the main focus, tell us what you do to relax. Have you got any hobbies out there?
Yeah, I've got a few hobbies. Living near the coast, it opens the door to quite a few different things. So I like sea swimming, like paddleboarding, but I'm also close to Dartmoor, which means that I can go on hiking trails and
Yeah,
just enjoy outdoor life. It's
yeah.
really great living here. But like anybody else, my downtime is often spent just sat watching Netflix, vegging in front of some sort of crime drama or crime documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just playing on the Xbox or something. Just do lots of different things to relax.
Okay. Okay, should we talk about your novel then, Menticide?
Yeah, why not?
Thanks to Emma Bruce, by the way, as well. She's telling me that she's
Mm,
really enjoying the novel. She said it's brilliant. So you've got to get in touch with Richard and talk about it. So tell us about
really?
Menticide, Book One, The Awakening, a dystopian
Yeah.
cyberpunk novel. Well, what does the word
Yes.
Menticide, what's it actually mean?
So, Menticide, when it relates to the book, the book is basically a corporation that has trying to control the population and has succeeded thus far. So,
Okay.
Menticide refers to the deliberate and systematic destruction of an individual's mind and mental functioning, and that's often through psychological manipulation, brainwashing, coercion.
Yeah.
It's often associated with techniques to exert extreme control over someone's thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors,
Yeah.
and sometimes used in context of totalitarian regimes, cults, and other forms of oppressive control. Pretty much like the sort of Nazi rise to power. If you think
Oh,
about
yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
everyone can kind of appreciate that, it's that, but in more of a corporate setting.
Okay. Have you come across a book, sort of similar theme, Exoskeleton?
No, I haven't.
It's similar.
No,
They use Nazi techniques basically to get mind control.
really.
Yeah, and it's designed, I think, to sort of how can I put it? To sort of to get the spirit to separate from the body.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's essentially it. It's basically to drive people down to the point at which they will subject to whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Is it aimed at an adult reader, or is this, late
Yeah,
teens?
it is. I thought it would be a good teen novel, but
Yeah.
then my characters are generally in their 20s.
Yeah.
The descriptions I've used are often quite graphic,
Yeah.
and so it might not be suitable for a younger audience. Also, there's some thought-provoking themes in there, which sometimes are quite subtle, sometimes they're obvious, so it does get the reader to sort of think about what I've written.
Yeah.
But I think a teen reader would enjoy it just as much as an
Yeah.
adult reader.
Okay. But there's adult themes in there, obviously.
There are adult themes in there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's sometimes some parts of the book aren't for the faint-hearted.
Okay. Can I ask about the cover? I think it's absolutely superb. It's striking, the image behind me. Who designed the cover?
Yeah, so the cover was designed by a guy on Fiverr.
Oh,
It was all very last minute. I'd originally planned someone to do it, and I commissioned them to do it. It was a day away from being completed, and then the guy just disappeared off Fiverr, and
oh,
that was it. He sort of couldn't fulfill the order,
yeah.
and so I had to look for somebody else. And so I looked through the charts. There are two cover designers on there who always come out really, really well.
Yeah.
And this guy in particular, Stefan, managed to turn this cover around in 24 hours. So
Oof,
it's
wow.
an amazing feat
It is.
in that length of time.
Yeah.
I give him the brief. I did the preliminary design and told him exactly what I wanted. But when I got it back, it was so much better than I could have thought of.
Yeah. It is. I mean, but you were told not to judge a book by the cover, but this one,
Mm.
it makes you want to buy it. It's absolutely brilliant.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I was so pleased when I saw it because
Yeah,
even in my mind, I had an image of what it was going to look like, but when I actually saw it and when I saw the actual physical copy of it, I
yeah,
couldn't believe it. I just thought it was brilliant.
excellent. Tell us more about the book itself. This is part one in the series. How many have you got planned? Is it a trilogy? Have you?
Yeah, so I'd planned for four,
Okay.
and four is kind of a theme that runs through the entire book arc. But I planned for four, but I think potentially it might be five.
Yeah.
And this is just in the binary series. So I've created this world, and the binary story arc relates to this woman Cassandra and her journey into becoming a sort of, well, I can't give too much away, but her
Okay.
journey.
Yeah.
The the fact I've created the world means that I can do some spin-offs in it. And so I've plotted out a prequel,
Yeah.
and a lot of fans of the book have come to me and said, "Oh, we like this particular character. There's a character called Mirror in there. And, oh, we love her. We'd love to know more about where she came from."
Mm.
And so I've kind of mapped out a guide as to a sort of origin story for her as well, which has been brilliant. You know, I love
Yeah.
the fact that you can create a world, and then the sort of scope with writing is sort of
Yeah.
endless, really.
Yeah. Yeah. How much have you got on paper for that? Is it on your head, or have you got the notes and bullet points?
So book two, I've written about 75% of.
Okay.
Um, because it's sometimes quite a complicated story, I've written, I had to sort of sow the seeds in book one for what is potentially going to happen in books two, three, and four. So I've had to plot it.
Yeah.
I couldn't just write it from scratch. There's too many hooks and too many sort of things running in it to have done that
Mm.
blind. But in plotting it, it's helped me write the other books in the series, so I know where the story is going,
Yeah.
which is really useful. But at the same time, it's nice just to fill in the blanks and just sort of fill in the reasons and fill in the sort of how we're going to get there.
Yeah. Okay. Have you created? I know spoke to a couple of authors who've written, a whole series of novels. Have you created like a
Mm.
Bible for it? For place names, for locations, for dates and times.
No, I mean I should do really, because I've kind of got it in my head where things are going to
Okay.
go,
Yeah.
and the places, and what I think probably would be best if I were to get somebody to design a map of the city for me,
Ah,
because
yeah.
that would really help with working out where things are and distances from things and stuff.
Yeah.
But in writing book two, I kind of appreciated that I really needed to get down the detail on in a notebook, and so I've
Yeah.
started kind of working out where things are, and how far things are to each other, and how where one district relates to another and where
Yeah.
one gang relates to another. It just helps with the writing process to reflect back on.
Okay. So talking about the genre of the book, it's cyberpunk, dystopian cyberpunk. Why so? Is
Yes.
that because it's your favorite reading genre?
Yeah, that's my favorite reading genre. I absolutely love it, and some of the stories are amazing.
Yeah.
Um, you look at it, and a lot of it, dystopian is such a good basis for writing a story, because
Mm.
it's always about struggle. And
Yeah.
whether you're in the cyberpunk genre or not, you look at J.G. Ballard, you look at George
Yeah.
Orwell,
Yeah.
and they've done some fantastic books which are really thought provoking,
Yeah.
and that neatly dovetails into the cyberpunk genre. So it's generally about struggle, and it's generally about sort of there's this high technology, and
Mm.
it's stereotyped that it's low life, but it doesn't have to be like that. But
Yeah.
it's people who are fighting against a machine or a corporation,
Yeah.
and that's suited my writing very much, and it's my interest. I like cyberpunk films, I
Yeah.
like cyberpunk books. Yeah, I've enjoyed it all.
Okay. So talking about films, I watched the
Mm.
latest installment of Mad Max yesterday. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh
Would
yeah.
you would you class that as
Yeah.
cyberpunk?
It's certainly dystopian,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think where my book is headed will be it's cyberpunk, but there's going to be a digital apocalypse, so there'll be a
Huh?
total wipeout, a total blackout, and
Yeah.
so I'm hoping that towards the last book, or maybe the other books that follow that, it's going to be a bit more Mad Max style. It's going to be a bit more sort of technology has been abandoned and we're living in a wasteland. And that's kind of where films like Mad Max, the originals, the new ones, I've not seen the newest one, but I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, it is
That's where they all
superb. The previous one, the one with what's his name, Tom Hardy in it, that one I was
Oh
breathless
yeah,
at the end of that. The road, the
yeah,
race, the half an hour series. I felt really
yeah,
exhausted watching
absolutely,
it. Felt like I need to
exactly,
lie down.
and absolutely. And my book too
Yeah,
dovetails in from the first book. So the first book is called Menticide, the second book is called Neon Rush, and Neon Rush is the violent, graphic Mad Max death race style sort of writing.
yeah.
It's going to be
Fast and
a pretty
Furious.
much a fast and furious. It's going to be a fast-paced novel,
Yeah,
which probably, I don't know how many words I'll get to. I've done 55,000 words already.
yeah,
I'm hoping I'll get to about 80,000 words, but the vast majority is just going to be exactly like that. So I'm actually trying to rein back in and give readers a bit of a breathing space to open up a few more sort of sections where they can just have a break from the action. But
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I've really enjoyed writing that, and certainly films have encouraged me to write that, because you get that sort of vision in your
yeah,
head
yeah,
of
yeah,
just momentum,
yeah.
and that's what I like to translate into text.
Okay. Do you find that? I know you mentioned that you're carefully plotting. Do you find that your
Mm.
characters come alive and sort of go in their own direction, regardless of how you plotted?
Yeah, I mean, I plot to a degree.
Yeah.
I think as I said, plotting's helpful for a complex story.
Hmm.
But when I'm writing my sort of more fast-paced action sort of sequences, I like to have the less I know, the better,
Hmm. Yeah.
because I kind of like to embody it and just write as if I was in that, I was feeling that myself, or I was in that situation.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think so if you kind of keep it looser, like you sort of writing from the seat of your pants, I think they
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah. Pantsers.
Like that, it opens up that sort of style of
Hmm.
you can feel it. You can feel what people are thinking. You can feel
Yeah.
what emotions they have.
Yeah.
It really adds to the sort of horror and terror and sort of the grip of the story.
Yeah. I've spoken to a couple of people who are pure pansters. They say they have
Mm,
no idea whatsoever. They just open a blank page and they start writing.
yeah,
And for me, it's like
yeah.
building a house. I think you need the foundation. You need something behind you.
Yeah, I agree. I think if I'd have written a different style of novel, I'd like to try that. But I
Yeah.
think where I'm planning to write several books in the same series,
Yeah.
then I just couldn't do it. I'd forget, there'd be inconsistencies in the
Yeah.
story,
Yeah.
and or I'd end up going down a blind alley, and I didn't have to kind of
Yeah.
work my way out of it, or just admit that I've written 5 to 10,000 words, which I'm just going to have to scrap and then
Yeah.
go back to a different part of the story. So, yeah, it's as I said, I like it for the action sequences,
Mm,
but I kind of need to know where I'm going with it. It's a bit
yeah.
like playing chess. You kind of
True.
you want the checkmate,
Mm,
but you need to plot how you get to it. You
yeah.
don't just automatically get the checkmate.
True. True. Can I just mention the lights that keep changing? I feel like I'm getting hypnotized here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's great. It's great effect. But
Yeah.
it's drawing me in. Tell
Yeah.
us about any research that you do for the writing, maybe from your own read of like-minded cyberpunk authors.
Yeah, so I've enjoyed reading Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
You tend to get a feel for the struggle and the the sort of building a universe from that way.
Mm,
But actually, as I said before, dystopian authors such as J.G. Ballard and
yeah.
George Orwell have really helped me in terms of my
Mm,
construction of a world, and just the sort of menticide concept and the control.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's always good to keep abreast of what's going on in the cyberpunk world. There's a lot of talented indie authors out there
Yeah.
who have written some absolutely fantastic
Yeah.
stories,
Totally agree. Totally agree.
and taken it and made it new. And I think that's the complicated thing when you have quite an established genre like that, and you can
Mm,
actually take something from it and just write something which is both thought provoking, but also makes you is totally enjoyable at the same time.
yeah. There's one you mentioned there, good indie author. There's one, Matt Adcock, he wrote Complete
Yeah,
Darkness.
yeah,
That's another
yeah.
cyberpunk novel. That left me exhausted. It really, it just sort of blew my
Yes.
mind. I had to go and lie down in a dark room for a couple of hours.
I, I've not read that yet.
Yeah.
It's something I follow on Twitter. I like his work.
Yeah.
But I think when the problem I have is that when I'm writing, I don't really want to read too much
Yeah,
because I'm
influencing
worried that I'm
style.
going to be influenced.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I need to step away from other people's work. So I'd like to finish my book, and then there's so many people that I'd like to read,
yeah,
so much of their work before I can sort of kick on with book 3.
yeah. My own to be read pile is a mile high. I've done about
Yeah,
300 chats with writers, and nearly I think 99% of everyone that I've spoken to, I've got their book lined up, and it's just getting
yeah,
through them all. Sometimes I'm reading like
yeah,
4 books
absolutely.
at the same time, and just dipping in
Yeah,
and out of
absolutely.
chapters.
And I'm like that, and the writing process for it's a bit like that as well. I've got about sort of 2 or 3 books on the go,
Oh yeah,
where I find that if I get to a point where I'm struggling or I might get writer's block with it, I need to
yeah,
step away.
yeah,
I'll do something else, and I'll write another, like a part of the prequel, or I'll
mm,
write part of the origin story for someone else, or at least plot it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I find then if I come back with a fresh pair of eyes, then it's a lot easier for me to write it.
True. A couple of people have suggested that writing that when they stop writing, they hit the target, or when they feel tired, they stop at mid-sentence. So it gives you sort of
Really?
an easier pull up for the next time, for the next session.
Oh,
Yeah,
right. I
yeah.
don't think I could do that. I don't
I
think I
taught
stop mid
myself.
sentence. No, but sometimes I do. I might just stop at the end of a paragraph and then have in bold something which says, "Look, you need to put this in. You need to put that in.
Yeah,
This needs to link to that," and then I move on. I don't want to. I don't want to dwell too much on things because I like to keep momentum with writing. And so, if there's something which I find too difficult, I know I'll come back and look at it at a later date, and just. But as long as the story keeps going and keep it fresh.
okay, okay. I'm just looking now on the Amazon page for your book, and you've
Mm,
got some excellent 5-star reviews on there, and it's quite high
yeah.
on the Amazon Cyberpunk rankings.
Yeah, yeah, which is amazing. The book's only been out for probably less than 2 weeks,
That's brilliant.
and it's my first novel. I'm an
Yeah,
independent author, and
yeah,
so it's great.
yeah. It certainly is. Well, what other we've connected on Twitter? Are you using any other
Mm.
social media platforms, using TikTok or Facebook for promotion?
Yeah, well, this is where I'm really bad. I mean, I use Twitter. A friend of mine used Twitter. He's
Yeah,
also an author.
yeah,
He encouraged me to say, look, come on this, you're going to meet a lot of different authors.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so far I have. And everybody I've met has been so helpful.
Mm,
You mentioned Emma before. She has
yeah,
just been incredible. And yourself as well. I mean, this is, you've helped me with just little subtle things about my Twitter account, and you put your your Amazon link on there and things like
yeah,
that. And
yeah,
it's been great because I'm still a bit green.
yeah,
I love the process of writing.
yeah,
I love um, creating books,
mm,
but the selling side of it is all the news side of it to me.
yeah, yeah,
Sort of get the word out there. So I've done Twitter. I think next step I'm going to get a website. I have to get a website.
yeah.
I'd like to set up a mailing list, and then yeah, I'll delve into the world of sort of TikTok and
Mm,
Facebook and Instagram at some point. But the thing for me is I'm so tied up with my second book
yeah,
that that's taken focus, and that's not the right thing. I mean, ultimately, you put it on Amazon, you put it
mm,
on a bookshelf,
yeah,
and if nobody knows about it, then it just sits there gathering dust.
mm,
And so I know I need to do a bit more work to showcase my first novel, but
yeah,
for now, I'm just happy getting these reviews in, and
yeah,
they've all been really positive, and the writing community on Twitter have been absolutely excellent, and
yeah.
I've
Totally
just
agree.
loved being part of it.
Okay. The trick is getting that balance, though. I mean, you can become full time just doing social media. It draws you in. It's addictive. And you've got to
Absolutely,
push away, really. You've got to, I don't know, 10% maybe towards that. But a lot of writers are
yeah.
not natural salespeople. They're introverted. They
No,
write on their own, solitary, in a darkened room, doing their writing.
yeah,
And then coming out,
yeah.
into the bright light, limelight to sell the novel. Some people are just not born that way.
No, that's right. And I'm probably a bit like that. I mean, I'm quite confident speaking, but
Yeah.
the actual sales side of it is kind of new to me.
A
I've
skill by
never
itself,
been.
Isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I've never. If I was a salesman, I'd do a much better
Yeah,
job of
sure.
it. But
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just happy. I'm just happy with the creative side of it.
yeah.
It's kind of creating a novel was like almost like a bucket list thing for me. It's something that I really wanted to do, and now I've done
Mm,
it,
yeah,
and um, and so I've achieved that goal,
yeah.
and now I've got a book. I'm like, oh, what do I do with it? So that's the next challenge for me, and I like that because it's always going to be a challenge.
Mm,
For now, I'm just excited to write the next book, but hopefully, more readers will pick up the other book, and then they'll just enjoy the journey that I've been on with it.
The second one will help sell the first one. The more you prolific you
Yeah,
become.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's kind of where I'm going with that. Yeah, that's what
Okay.
I think.
Have you got people coming up to you now saying, "Oh, I've got a book in my head. I've got a story." I think.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, as I said, I've got a very good friend who's an author who he's currently writing his second book as well,
Oh,
and
good.
so his VB Anstey, you'll probably find him on Amazon as well. He and I have kind of been almost writing kind of at the same time, being sort of encouraging each
Oh,
other
yeah,
on.
yeah,
And I've written sort of 40,000 words, and I'm like,
yeah,
well, I'm on 50,000 words, and then we kind of so it goes. It's a bit like running a race, running a
yeah,
marathon,
yeah,
having somebody
yeah.
there beside you, sort of
Geeing
cheering
you
you
up.
on, so,
Yeah, yeah.
cheering you up. Yeah, it's been really good.
What's his name
So
again,
yeah,
Richard?
VB Anstey. So he's written a book called Lithium, which you
Oh,
can
yeah,
find on KDP.
yeah.
He's
Lithium
also
as in
he's lithium as in the element. Yeah.
as in
So
a
he's
battery. Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking. Yeah,
yeah, as in the battery. Yeah, I think it's kind of like I've only started reading the book, but it's very good. It's really good. I've enjoyed it. But again, I've had to shelve it because I don't want it to influence my own
yeah, of course.
writing. But he actually introduced me to Emma, who's
Oh,
been
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. It's quite a few of the podcasts we've had is from recommendations
Mm.
from Emma.
Yeah, I think she's recommended it to him. So I think he's aiming to finish his second book before he contacts you for an
Okay,
interview. I'm sure you'll see him in
fair
the
enough.
future.
Yeah, yeah. I'll try and connect with them. Yeah, yeah. It
Sure.
looks like you've gone down the indie route for publishing. Have you gone through the usual frustrating efforts of trying to connect with a traditional publisher?
No, when I first started this, I thought, wouldn't it be great to get in touch with a publishing house, and wouldn't it be
Yeah,
great if they marketed my book and they did everything that I needed to do, and then I could just sit back, relax, and maybe do a few book signings,
yeah,
and that'd be that. But life doesn't work like that. You look at the Harry Potter book, and J.K.
yeah,
Rowling is supposedly took about 7 years to get Harry
yeah,
Potter you know, published.
yeah.
That's I can't be doing that. I can't,
Mm,
as I can't be waiting that long.
mm,
I'd have finished my stories, and
mm,
I'd be like wanting to move on to the next thing by then.
mm,
I couldn't do it. And the thing with if I'd have gone down the traditional publishing route, I'd be so restricted in what I could
yeah,
write. I have enjoyed the fact that fans have come to me and said, look, we desperately want a origin story for this character.
yeah,
And the fact that I'm an indie publisher means that I can do that.
mm,
And I can just do it, I can write it, I can publish it, no problem.
yeah.
I don't have to go through sort of various committees where they say,
True.
oh, no, I don't think we should do that. One person or two people have said that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so it's so restrictive. So
mm,
indie publishing for me just is complete freedom. It's
yeah,
freedom to write, particularly when I'm writing a book about control. I don't want to enter a market which is very controlled. I want creative freedom, and I want to be able to have control over it myself, and to allow public and fans of the story to
mm,
sort of be part of the journey as well, and
mm,
to help influence what I write and to make suggestions.
mm. I know a lot of authors, even traditionally published authors, sometimes it's a year's wait, before they hand over the manuscript. It's a year before you'll
Mm,
actually see it on the
mm,
bookshops. So certainly you've got that
yeah,
instant control as well.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. I
yeah,
completely agree with that.
yeah. What's your ambition for the series? Is it maybe get a deal, a television, a film production deal for Menticide?
Yeah, I mean that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
my goal is just to complete it.
yeah,
Um, it I think let's face it, I'm kind of maybe reposting it a bit, other people's work on Twitter. I'm sort of posting my work a little bit. I don't think I'm ready for the point at which it become a film deal or anything. But God, wouldn't that be amazing? I think a lot of the feedback I've had from people is that it would be an amazing film.
mm,
But I also think about that with a lot of other cyberpunk authors, and
mm,
that you look at their work individually and you think, God, this would be a brilliant setting
mm,
for a film.
mm.
Um, and there are some really fantastic films which have the essence of that, like The Matrix and Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
um, there again, you look at, I look at my work and I think, oh, I don't, I'm just an indie published, I'm just an indie published author. Would somebody pick it up? if they did, I would be absolutely amazed, and I
Yeah.
would be thrilled, and that would be a massive life affirming event for me.
Mm.
It would be something that I would absolutely go crazy at. I'd love to do.
Yeah. I think it's every writer's ambition, that it really, isn't it? To
Yeah,
see it up there
absolutely.
on the big screen with
Mm,
actors
mm,
playing the characters that they created.
mm,
Yeah. Moving on again, going back, the fact that you're indie published, we talk about your
mm,
editing. Have you gone through a
mm.
few drafts before hitting that publish button? And maybe a fresh pair of eyes has done a proofread?
Yeah, so I write my stories, and I kind of map out how they're going to look.
Hmm.
And so once I've got a basic skeleton, I then compartmentalize them into chapters, and then I start writing.
Yeah.
So I write it, and then I go back and heavily edit it, and then write again and fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
And then I read it once more, go through it, fill in the blanks. And then
Yeah.
when I'm kind of happy with it,
Yeah.
on my first novel, I got someone to proofread it, because I
Okay.
think, I was new to it.
Yeah.
I was, there's going to be certain grammatical errors and things with flow that they can help on, and suggestions. You're taking something which somebody who, like me, was very new to it,
Mm.
and then you're giving it to somebody to look over who's very experienced
Yeah.
and has reviewed and proofread some incredible books.
Yeah.
And they've helped, and to me, that really helped me. I wrote another chapter at the beginning of Menticide,
Yeah.
basically to establish the character's family life, and to kind of create a hook for people to really identify with her, and to see where she went, to where she was, to where she went.
Yeah.
And so that really helped. And then you maybe pass it on to a couple of beta readers who come back with some very good
Yeah.
thoughts, because they're fans themselves of the genre, and so they've read a lot of books, and so they can give you a really good insight into what your story might need,
Mm.
or what they think of it. And all of that process has been really good for me, because it was really encouraging. I there was very little changes that I needed to make with beta readers.
Mm.
There was a couple that I had to make with the proofreader, but nothing too drastic.
Mm.
So yeah, it really spurred me on to write book two, knowing that I could just get it done. And I edited it, and then
Mm.
I hit the publish button, and that was a journey into the great unknown. That was really good.
Mm.
And when you can, when you get your first sale, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you see that people are reading it on Kindle, it's just a fantastic feeling. But I'm still a bit addicted to looking at the results. When you
Yeah.
sort of check in, how's my book doing today? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's so. Oh, so many people. Some people have read this number. It
Yeah.
becomes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when I first put the book on Kindle, I thought the first thing I did was I looked on it and thought, right, let's see what happens then. And
Yeah.
there was nobody knows about it. It's gone on the Kindle bookshelf, and that's
Yeah.
it. And I'm like, oh, why is nobody reading it? So then you then head into a few promotions and things, and
Mm.
it slowly picks up, and that's been really good for me. I'm trying to just grow it organically, and
Mm.
for people to come in, enjoy it, and then maybe to look forward to the next 2, 3, 4 chapters of the story,
Mm.
or sorry, books in the story.
Yeah. Okay. Finally, from me, I know you're a new writer yourself, but what advice would you give to someone who's yet to press that publish button?
I think the most important thing is that you've got to write for yourself. You've got to write something that you enjoy. Chances are, if you're a first-time writer, you have got other commitments. You've got family. You've got other jobs. Which means that the writing process is going to be slow. You could be writing for 6 months. You could be writing for a year.
Yeah.
But to have that stamina to write it, you need to really love the subject that you're writing, and you need to really connect with it, and connect with it as a writer, but connect with it as you would as a reader. And so I think that's the most important thing, and that's the advice I would give: is write for you. Don't write necessarily for what you think people will like, or
Mm.
what you think is going to make the most money. You look on at Amazon, and it's flooded with people doing coloring books and all
Yeah.
sorts of
Yeah.
things that they think they're going to just get low content, high profile sales.
Yeah.
That's great. If you want to make money on it, that's fine. But if you're going to do a novel, you have to write for yourself, and you have
Mm.
to be true to yourself and write something that you think I'd like to read this, and and that'll keep you going. That'll keep you going when you have writer's block. That'll keep you going when you're struggling or when you're trying to find time to write it. You'll get a desire to write it, and you'll want to do it. It'll become your number one hobby, and that's and that worked for me. And that's what I'd say to anybody else who's writing their first novel. Just stay true to yourself and write something that you enjoy as a reader.
That sounds like excellent advice. But on that note, it looks like time has caught up with us. But I've really enjoyed chatting with you, and let's keep in touch, and maybe another chat with a second novel
I've
comes
really
out.
enjoyed chatting to you. Yeah, I don't know when it's going to come out. Hopefully, it'll be out end of the year is the plan. I keep getting sidetracked on all these side projects and things, which has been terrible. I need to keep my focus. When I get I'm going to keep my focus. That's my promise to you. I'm going to keep my focus. I'm going to finish the second book, and then definitely let's have another chat and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about where it's gone and the changes, and I'd love to do that.
Okay, brilliant. But for now, Richard, cheers, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me on. It's been really enjoyable chatting to you.
Pleasure. Cheers, Richard.
Bye-bye.
Bye.